Please be seated. Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Question.
Yes, Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice of the following private notice question addressed to Dr. the Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and External Communications, Minister of Finance, Minister for Rodrigues and Outer Island. Whether in regard to the pension reform announced in the 2026-2027 budget speech, bringing an end to the universal basic retirement pension by the introduction of the state age pension, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain information as to the composition of the Commission of Experts set up to make recommendations to reform the various pillars of the pension system. Roman 1, indicating the allowances paid to the members thereof, and Roman 2, table the report thereof, recommending the means test, and B, steering committee on pension reform task to examine the report of the Commission of Experts and table the recommendations and reports thereof. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Prime Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker, as I stated in the budget speech, it is an undeniable fact, and I think everybody agrees with this, that the BRP system in its current form has many flaws, some of them fortuitous and others structural, but both severely undermine its sustainability. First of all, being an unfunded pay-as-you-go system, it was financed totally by public funds. Second, it has become an increasingly weighty component of government budget, accounting for nearly 25% of expenditure in 2024-2025 fiscal year, more, in fact, and I said this before, more than the budgets for education, for health, and also social housing. Put together, we're spending more on pension than health, education, and social housing. Now, BRP expenditure has risen from 5.97 billion in 2010 to 13.1 billion in 2015-2016, 27.9 billion in 2020 to 2021, and approximately 55 billion in 2025-2026. In other words, it has almost doubled in 4 years. Without reform, it is estimated that it will reach 100 billion rupees in 2035. Many people escape this. They're just looking in front of the tip of the nose. They're not looking ahead. 100 billion in 2035, Madam Speaker. As a percentage of GDP, BRP expenditure has increased from 1.9% in 2010 to 8.1% in 2025-2026. Madam Speaker, in 2015, the IMF, in an expert report, projected that by 2050, expenditure on BRP, which is, I remind the House, a non-contributory pension, would be at an unsustainable level of over 8% of GDP. Because of the irresponsible decisions taken by the last government, we have already crossed that level now. They said it will be by 2050. Already, Madam Speaker. That is 25 years ahead than projected by the IMF, we have reached that situation because of the irresponsibility of the previous government. This is why we are in this mess. Everybody seems to forget this. Now, the eligibility rate age was 60 years. That is 5 full years below the statutory requirement age of 65. This, perhaps, in Mauritius, people don't realize this is unique in the world. It is an anomalous. The retiring age is 65, but you get your pension at the age of 60. No country does this, no other country. Now, fourth, the dependency ratio measured as the number of workers per pensioner above the age of 65 was fast declining from 16 in 1962 to 4.7 in 2025 and projected to decline to 3 in 2049 and 2.5 in 2064. Because, as we know, of an aging population. This means that fewer workers are supporting more and more, fewer workers are supporting more and more retirees, which therefore place an impossible public strain on the public finances. Fifth, Madam Speaker, the structural flaws in the system have been aggravated by the introduction of CSG by the previous government again in 2020. It has compounded the deficits and unsustainability. And it was a tax, not a pension, a tax. Let me remind the House, Madam Speaker, that the concern about the sustainability of the old age pension is not something new. We have not invented this, we haven't created this. This has been talked about for more than 2 decades, but no one had the courage to bell the cat, as we say in English. As far back in the budget speech presented to the House in 2003 by the then Prime Minister, Honorable Paul Béranger, it was stated at paragraph 161, and I'm quoting, "An important component of our social welfare system is the basic retirement pension, which is both non-contributory and universal. The BRP in its present form from experts will exert severe pressure on the budget. The fast aging of the population will render the BRP unsustainable in the longer term. According to, I'm still quoting, according to projections, the proportion of those over 60 will double in 20 years' time and triple in the next 50 years. Therefore, reform of the BRP has thus become urgent." That was in 2003. Equally urgent, I'm still quoting, is the need to reform the other pillars of the Mauritian pension system, namely the National Pension Scheme, the civil service pensions, and private pensions. And he was right to have said what he said. Now, Madam Speaker, it would also be relevant to quote what the then Minister of Finance, Honorable Pravin Jagnnath, said in his budget speech of 2004-2005, and I'm quoting. He said, "The BRP is one item of government transfers that absorbs a lot of our resources. Presently, there are some 116 beneficiaries of basic retirement pension. A 1% increase in the BRP costs 28 million rupees. 1% costs 28 million rupees. I'm still quoting, a number of reports have questioned the long-term sustainability of the basic retirement pension, especially as our population is fast aging and the BRP is fully funded out of government revenues. As the responsible government, we are studying the issues very carefully to map out our strategy on pension reforms. We are making a very special effort to increase the BRP rates in spite of the extremely difficult budgetary situation. But this will be accompanied by major change in the structure of pension rates. I continue. A second fundamental reform that this budget introduces is the targeting of government funds. Everybody seems to have forgotten this from the other side. Government transfers are simply, listen well, are simply not sustainable.
May I, Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. Madam Speaker, my PNQ is very precise. I don't want to hear about what happened in the past. Can I ask? Because yesterday you ruled, Madam Speaker, that word reply, there are only 15 minutes allocated for it.
One moment. Can we, once more, if the leader of the opposition is on his feet, why do we need so much noise? I can't hear him. Okay? Now I know what he's saying. Prime Minister, bear in mind that he has put specific question, little a, 1 and 2, and then B. I didn't stop you because I could understand you needed to make that introduction. But bear in mind that we have only 30 minutes for the whole exercise. Okay?
I'm saying this, Madam Speaker, because if you have to put it in the context, je sais ça fait du mal. Je sais ça fait du mal au leader de l'opposition d'entendre ce que son propre leader. Oui, non, ça fait du mal. Because he introduced targeting.
But you were against it.
Yes, I was. Yes, you are right. I was. It wasn't even that situation. You made the situation
Don't
worse.
speak to me on a sitting position, please.
You made the situation worse. It wasn't that situation then. And he says a second fundamental reform that this budget introduces is the targeting of government transfers. I'll refrain from saying more, Madam Speaker. But he says targeting for other basic pensions will be introduced as from January next year. And then what happened? He said all this. Okay, when the opposition, we were against it because the situation was not the same. He still reculé. He still went back. He was forced to go back, in fact, by the Honorable Prime Minister, then Honorable Béranger. But he went back. He was backpedaling. It was the budget. But this is how it is. You make proposals in the budget, and then you decide to correct a few things. This is exactly what has happened. I will skip all this because he doesn't like me saying this. In 2025, during the debates on the budget, I need to say this, Madam Speaker. Honorable Paul Béranger, in our government, then Deputy Prime Minister, summarized in a very concise way the challenges of the BRP on the public finances and the consequences for the future. This is what we are saying. And I quote, relever l'âge de la retraite, the non-contributory pension à 65 ans est inévitable. Je demande à tout le monde, à commencer par les syndicats, aux travailleurs de bien réaliser que relever, à moins qu'on veuille à développer. I will have to say what I have to say, whether you like it or not. I will quote. Whether you like it or not, I will quote. I am the one who is answering the question. You are not the one who is answering the question. I will quote. I have to put it in the context, Madam Speaker. This is not a point of order.
Of this House, Madam Speaker. PNQ is only for 30 minutes.
Don't reply, Minister Mia, don't reply in my place. I will definitely give you more time. Prime Minister. Yes. Let me, Prime Minister, please reply to his specific question, and then I'm sure you will get, I'm sure you will, on supplementary questions, I'm sure you will get the chance to come back on some of the contextualized. Please reply to the question.
I will got a lot of the quotations, but I have to say this one. He says, relever l'âge de la pension à 65 ans est inévitable. Nous sommes condamnés à le faire.
Okay, let's
I
start
will go
now.
to the rest. Now, the situation is clearly beyond alarming and unsustainable because of what they did with the CSG and all this. We therefore, Madam Speaker, took the decision to restore the fairness and sustainability of the BRP system. And in this regard, the reform process was initiated last year, guided by the fundamental principle that a pension system must be founded on the twin pillars of equity within and across generations. It will be recalled, Madam Speaker, that in the 25-26 budget speech, I announced the setting up of a commission of experts to make recommendations to reform the various pillars of our system, pension system, also including revamping the National Pension Fund to replace it by the notorious CSG. It was also announced that a steering committee would be set up to provide, inter alia, guidance to the Commission on the strategic direction and policy priorities of the reform of the pension system. Now, regarding part A of the question, the Commission of Experts was set up in September 2025 and is chaired by Mr. Nuresh Kumar Rayag, who is an actuary. It includes experts from the actuarial, economic, and statistical fields. I'm tabling a copy of their CVs as asked by the Honorable, I think that you asked the leader of the opposition. Now, the commission comprises the chairperson, Mr. Prayak, former laureate who graduated in actuarial science in Edinburgh. B, Mr. Bernard Yen, a former laureate again, graduated in mathematics and computer science at the University of Liverpool and actuary. Third, Mr. Yvan Legris, former laureate again, graduated in economics and actuarial science from the London School of Economics. Fourth, Mr. Azad Jitan, economist, former director of the then Mauritius Employers Federation. Fifth, Mrs. Virina Tandrayan Raghubar, again economist, associate professor in economics at the University of Mauritius. Sixth, Mr. Satar Jakaria, actually CEO of Eagle Insurance Limited. Seventh, Mrs. Aimee Chung Kai Swet, statistician and former director of statistics of Mauritius. Now, the Commission has been mandated to examine the three pillars of the pension system, namely the basic non-contributory pensions, including the basic retirement pensions, basic invalidity pension, and basic widow's pension. Two, the contributory pension schemes, and three, the voluntary private pensions, including personal retirement saving plans and occupational pension schemes offered by employers. As regards the allowances paid to the members of the Commission of Experts, the chairperson of the Commission is paid a monthly fee of 200,000 rupees and members are paid a monthly fee of 100,000 rupees. which is nothing. With regard to part A2 of the question, I'm tabling a copy of the interim report of the Commission of Experts. There's the report. It is an interim report, Madam Speaker. Concerning part B of the question, the composition of the Steering Committee on Pension Reform, as approved by Cabinet on the 26th of September 2025, chaired by myself, is as follows. The then Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Agro-Industry, Food Security, Blue Economy and Fisheries, the Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity, the Minister of Financial Services and Economic Planning, the Minister of Labour and Industrial Relations, the Minister of Industry, SMEs and Cooperatives, the Junior Minister of Finance, the Junior Minister of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity. Madam Speaker, the Commission made a presentation of its findings and recommendations contained in the interim report, which I just laid on the table of the Assembly. The main recommendations of the Commission in its interim report are as follows. First, a unified independent pensions regulatory authority will be established to make recommendations on policy reforms. B, a central pensions administrative bureau will regroup all state-sponsored schemes into one place to digitalize and facilitate service to members and pensioners. 3, with regard to the basic retirement pension, will be renamed as state age pension as on the 1st of January 2027. A universal means test will apply individually to eligible beneficiaries based on the taxable income above a threshold of 14,000 rupees. This threshold, Madam Speaker, of 14,000 rupees, that is the World Bank relative poverty line of 50% of median income, which is 28,000 rupees in 2025, was. Fourth, a person will be able to elect to receive the SAP from the age of 60 to 70. The pension amount will increase by 9% for each year that the benefit is deferred beyond the age of 65. The recommendation seeks to bring fairness by providing individuals with greater choice, they have a choice, regarding the timing of the benefit while improving the long-term sustainability of the pension system. E, from 1st of July 2027, there will be revamped mandatory national contributory retirement scheme to replace the defunct National Pensions Fund. F, payment of pension benefits to members of the National Assembly as from the age of 65 years instead of having after serving 2 mandates. G, the delinking the increase in emoluments and retiring benefits of members of the National Assembly from the Pay Research Bureau report. Any future increases will be governed by the Additional Remuneration Act, similar to what it is to other employees. H, public officials, that is the President, the Vice President, the Prime Minister, and the Vice Prime Minister will no longer be eligible for multiple non-contributory state pensions. I, in respect of the President of the Republic, the delinking of the remuneration and pension arrangements from the report of the Pay Research Bureau and the application of future adjustments through the Additional Remuneration Act. You asked about the reform, I'm telling you about the reform. Now, what else do you want me to say?
I'm keeping the time.
J, the emoluments of the serving President and Vice President and the pensions of retiring Presidents and Vice Presidents, and wherever applicable, the pensions of surviving spouses will become fully taxable. The Commission, Madam Speaker, took on board several of the comments and suggestions made by the members of the Steering Committee. Due to the fiscal situation, government decided to act immediately on the policy options recommended by the Commission in its interim report. The recommendations regarding the stage age pension and the conversion of the National Pensions Fund into the National Pension and Provident Fund have been validated by the social pension specialists of the World Bank. Madam Speaker, regards the decision to freeze the means test, preliminary estimates indicate that the budget deficit would increase, automatically it would increase, by around 6.2 billion rupees. That is 0.7% of the GDP for the period January 2027 to June 2027. I wish to bring some clarifications, Madam Speaker, with regard to the budget appendix at table B2, pages 558 and 559 of the budget estimates documents, whereby there was a technical issue in the figure reported under the item old age. The figures have been updated and posted on the website of the Ministry of Finance. Madam Speaker, I would like to seize this opportunity to place on record my deep appreciation to the members of the Commission of Experts, which I should remind the House was set up in September of 2025. The composition of the Commission was endorsed by the Cabinet, and it comprises professionals who have excelled in their respective fields, not only locally, but internationally. I consider it is totally unfair that they are being blamed for decisions announced in the budget relating to pension reform. It is a matter of deep regret that some people, both in this House and outside, have made totally unacceptable and disparaging personal remarks on these professionals. I should also say, Madam Speaker, that I have full confidence in my Chief Economic Advisor, the Financial Secretary, and his team at the Ministry of Finance. Among the members of the Commission, several have occupied important positions, as you will see in the CV, overseas, decided to come back to serve their country. We are doing our level best to attract the diaspora. We want to attract very competent people. I leave it to the appreciation of the population on how such vile attacks on these professionals will encourage the diaspora to come to Mauritius. I've been informed that following the unwarranted and baseless comments made against them, all the members of the commissions have intimated that they would want to resign. I've made an appeal to them not to take this decision and to complete this important task that they have been entrusted, that has been entrusted to them. Thank you.
Thank you. First, I will give you time. First question.
Give me enough time,
I
not
will.
time, Madam
I
Speaker.
will do my level best. Start.
Madame la Présidente, Honorable Premier Ministre, la mémoire courte. He has forgotten how we canvassed against the means test back in 2004. Et votre député Prime Minister peut vous confirmer ce que vous aviez dit à l'époque. Now, the Honorable Prime Minister, in his statement to the House on Monday,
Question.
stated that he has taken the decision to freeze the means test. Will he inform the House for how long is he freezing the means test?
Well, the means test is out, if that's what you're
Everybody is happy it is out. Not only you in this House, the whole population will be happy. I refer the Honorable Prime Minister to paragraph 302 of the budget speech, where he stated that after wide-ranging consultations with all stakeholders, can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether consultations were held with members of his government concerning the introduction of SAP, and if not, why not?
Well, the answer is yes.
You're getting short answers. Carry on.
Yes.
Members.
Can the Honorable Prime Minister state whether at the meeting held in his office on the 16th of June 2026, wherein were present inter alia the Honorable Minister of Social Security, and other public officials, he assured those present that there would be no reduction in pension payable to senior citizens.
No, I did not. We discussed the issues that were being proposed. Honorable Minister Subon, as you know, is a very caring minister. He wanted to know who will be affected, not be affected, the data and all this. That is what we discussed.
Can the Honorable Prime Minister inform the House who are the members of the unelected clique denounced by the Honorable Minister of Social Security in the latter's press conference on the 22nd June 2026 as having an evil influence on the policies of government concerning budget 2026?
This is why this country, if they go back to government, this country is doomed. Because you need experts. We are not experts. Yes, that's what you're saying, unelected, but unelected, where do you get them? They are experts. They are experts in the fields. I just mentioned the names. There are people, many of them are laureates, former laureates. 3 of them laureates, economists, statisticians, actuaries. They presented their report because we need experts to look at this. Even your leader said that you need to reform the pension. How do you put you to reform the pension? Maybe he's still the leader. I'm not sure he's not the leader. I didn't know he was not the leader. So how do we do the reform? We take people from the street and say, yeah, come and look at the reform. Haji Abdullah, this is what you want me to do? You know, leader of the opposition. You know, leader of the opposition. You need to have experts. Experts don't decide policies. We decide policies, but they have to present a report. We have to see whether we agree or don't agree. And this is what happened.
And then Honorable
And that's
Su-
it.
one minute. Honorable Subo is going to be speaking in a while. So wait.
My questions?
Yes.
If he's speaking.
No, but you can't put it to the Prime Minister. How
Why not?
Okay.
He is a member of the cabinet, Madam Speaker.
Okay, you do better. Allez, vous voulez venir à ma place encore? Mais je suis en... Members, all I was saying was that Honorable Subu is going to be speaking first later on. So you will hear. Okay, if you don't understand and somebody else who sits and speaks to me all the time in a sitting position, if you don't understand, the people who are listening to me will understand.
You're also listening to me, Madam Speaker.
Yes. Yes.
Does the Honorable Prime Minister want us to believe that his cabinet minister had olfactory hallucinations of an evil clique in a public conference? If there is no such clique, Honorable Prime Minister, then the Honorable Minister is grossly incompetent for making such a grave accusation and should be sacked, Honorable Prime Minister.
The Honorable Minister of Social Security did not say evil clique. You are inventing again, putting words in his mouth that he did not say. He never said evil. Ask him.
You see? Okay, next question.
Can the Honorable Prime Minister inform the House why he has backpedaled on the budgetary measures on the pensions reforms following the meeting of Monday, the 22nd of June, and less than 72 hours after he has presented the budget to the whole nation? Madam Speaker, this is...
Yes, that is a good question. Let
Yes.
him answer. Yes.
Madam Speaker, this is what is called democracy and listening to the voice of the people. This is what it is called.
Like I said, Madam Speaker, this is not listening.
No, next
This is called a humiliating retreat, Honorable Prime Minister. Will the Honorable Prime Minister confirm to the House whether he will withdraw the appropriation 2026-2027 bill, stop the ongoing debates, and come with a new bill, to reflect the fundamental changes brought about to the estimates by the freezing of the means test?
This is what is called demagogy, Madam Speaker. The whole budget is actually very welcome by the population outside, except they haven't understood this reform on the pension. This is what we have modified, and that's all.
Next question, Leader.
Voila. Madam Speaker, after taking note of the discontent within the ranks of his own government and the anger expressed by the vast majority of the population of this country, will the Honorable Prime Minister finally admit that this reform is an act of electoral fraud, and will he commit to withdrawing the state age pension and restoring the universal basic retirement pension, Madam Speaker?
Madam Speaker, that is why I was quoting his own leader. What did he say? And why did he then regulate? Why? Why do you think? Ask me.
Your question, next question. I'm giving you time, huh? Next question.
Of course you have to, Madam Speaker. This is what you said earlier. Can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister
Honorable Divan,
whether he does not find it
I've
cruel
counted.
and cynical to ask an elderly person to opt for an age at which he or she will prefer to get the SAP and be paid one single amount for his or her lifetime?
That's why I said, Madam Speaker, earlier, that there's a lot of confusion. People haven't understood. First of all, there's a difference between contributory and non-contributory pension. We are the only country in the world where the statutory retirement age is 65 and you start paying pension at 60. You have said, your own leader, the former Deputy Prime Minister have also said, and rightly so, that it is unsustainable. Do you know what the word unsustainable means? Or should I bring a dictionary and show you? Madam Speaker, the confusion is there. Let me say something. The determination of net income, that has been a confusion. But I'm telling you, you want to know. You don't want to listen. You want just to ask questions. But I'm answering your bloody question. I'm answering your question. If you don't want to listen, don't listen. There is a difference. It is relevant because what determines. When we spoke about means testing and the sum of 50,000 rupees, there has been confusion. Because the determination, there is a confusion between net income and what is not net income. Monthly net income includes emoluments, net of tax exempt income. It includes net income from business or profession, net rental income, that is after deducting expenditure incurred and repairs, maintenance, or whatever of your property, and contributory retirement benefits. That is the exclusion, but people haven't understood this. What can I do?
Your next question, or you want your friend
No,
to
I'll
speak?
have a lot of next questions, Madam Speaker. If someone, let me be very precise, Honorable Prime Minister. If someone opts to take the SAP at the age of 60, the benefit would be 11,598 per month for the rest of his life. May I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether he will admit that this is a dishonest and provocative proposal?
What I just said, they haven't understood. This is actually false. What he's saying is false.
What you're saying,
The sum you quoted is false.
What is false?
What you said is false.
This is in the document officially circulated, Madam Speaker. Now, let me ask, Madam Speaker,
Yes.
if an elderly person is enticed and opts for the SAP at 70 years, he will receive 24,000 rupees per month again for the rest of his life. Honorable Prime Minister, will you confirm that this is a trap, knowing that such an elderly person may die before reaching the age of 70 and not obtain his pension? Don't tell me I'm wrong now.
Say, Madam Speaker, again, he has misunderstood everything. This is why we need experts. You should consult experts as well. Because he doesn't understand. This is actually not true what he's saying.
Why?
It is not a fact what you're saying.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition, the Prime Minister. One moment, members. The Prime Minister took. Qui c'est qui veut venir encore à ma place de l'autre côté? Honorable Leader of the Opposition, I was trying to say that as far as I've got the count myself and the table below, the Prime Minister took 25 minutes, okay? So I've already given you 9 minutes more, but I'll give you a few minutes more. Please ask your question. Or your friend. It's up to you. One for you and one for him. OK? Après, on arrête. Oui.
Madame Speaker, on parle de démagogie. La vraie démagogie, Madame la Présidente. Et ça, c'est la question. N'est-ce pas là la vraie démagogie? N'est-ce pas là la vraie démagogie? C'est une question. Que les rapports du IMF, de la FMI, datent de 2014 et de 2015, qui parlent of the unsustainability of the pension system. Et que ce gouvernement a promis à hausser, malgré ces deux rapports, la pension à 21 500 par mois et à supprimer l'income tax sur les pensions. Et aujourd'hui, dans le dos de la population, à coût de 18 millions de rémunération à la Commission, est-ce que le gouvernement ne trouve pas ça étant la réelle démagogie et trahison? Je demande au Premier ministre la question de revenir sur le système de pension électorale parce que ce gouvernement n'a aucun mandat pour amender cette réforme, ce système. Aucun mandat. You promised the country.
Madam Speaker, I know you decided to sit next to the MSM before then. You switch sides. Ça n'a pas de raison. You switch sides. You switch sides in the middle. Because you thought they were going to win the election. Because you thought they were going to win the election. That's why you switch sides. You switch sides. Ça, c'est la trahison. Tu as trahi. Tu as trahi. C'est toi qui as trahi. C'est une trahison que tu as fait. Et on t'a foutu dehors parce que tu ne parles plus rien. And you wanted 9. And remember,
Prime Minister.
Yeah, I'm sorry, madam. But this, Madam Speaker, is a mixture of demagogy, of ignorance and venom. That's what it is. They don't understand. He is now saying, don't do any reform.
Yes.
Leave it as it is. So let the country crash. You won't be here. You won't be here. But the young of this country will have no pension if we don't reform the pension. You are doing démagogie. C'est ça la démagogie. Au lieu de gouverner pour le peuple, ils gouvernent pour eux-mêmes.
Last question, Leader of the Opposition, not speech like we just heard.
Yeah, Madam
A
Speaker,
question.
I have taken cognizance of the documents circulated by the Honorable Prime Minister with regard to members of the Commission. Can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister to state whether any assessment was carried out regarding potential conflict of interest by members of that Commission? because they're all in the private sector.
We look at this, but it's a small country. You have very few experts. You have very few people with their abilities and their competency. Otherwise, what do we do? Where would we get the experts? I take experts from the UK, like we did before. You don't want Mauritians to work, now you want people from experts from the UK to come here to tell us what to do with the pension. We chose to have Mauritians who have expertise.
But you yourself, Prime Minister, you don't believe that there is any, comment vous avez dit, conflict of
Madam
interest.
Speaker, everybody has a conflict of interest in this country. You have somebody who's working there. Yesterday we heard about conflict of interest. Everybody has. But we have to get the experts to do the job, and that's what we did.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, everybody. It wasn't easy, but thank you nonetheless for
Motion.
contributing. Yes, motion, Prime Minister?